Have you ever found yourself just constantly exhausted, or maybe noticed your hair thinning a bit, or feeling dizzy just standing up? And maybe you've kind of written it off as, just being busy or maybe normal, especially if you're a woman. Well, what if those things weren't just random? What if they were signs of a really widespread but often overlooked health issue? Some people are actually calling it a silent epidemic now. And well, today we're doing a deep dive into some really groundbreaking research. It's revealing an unexpected but absolutely critical connection. We're zeroing in on this newly confirmed direct causal link between uterine fibroids and iron deficiency anemia. And this isn't just, some small update. It's a potential game changer for literally millions. So in this deep dive, we're going to break down this new research, explore why it matters so much, and really what it means for your health, for women's health everywhere.
Yeah, it's really hard to overstate how significant this is for public health, definitely, because for just way too long, these kinds of symptoms, and honestly, even fibroids themselves, they've often been dismissed or just frustratingly normalized. This study, it finally gives us that overdue clarity and, crucially, some real actionable insights for something that deeply impacts daily life, but, well, often just goes unaddressed.
That really sets the stage perfectly. So let's dive right in. This breakthrough research, this new clinical study, it just came out in the Journal of Reproductive Health Sciences, right? July 2025. What exactly did it, definitively confirm?
Right. So the really compelling part here is that it's not just showing a link, like a correlation.
Yeah.
It's proving a causal link. The study confirmed a direct connection between uterine fibroids and iron deficiency anemia, specifically in women of reproductive age. And this wasn't a small thing either. It was a multi-site clinical trial, pretty extensive, actually. They followed over 3,000 women aged between 25 and 45. And the numbers they found, just striking. Over 70% of the women who had symptomatic fibroids also had moderate to severe iron deficiency.
Wow, over 70%.
Yeah, that's a huge number, a massive prevalence.
And what really jumped out at me from the study summary was this discovery that almost half of these women, nearly half, they had no idea their symptoms, the fatigue, the hair thinning, feeling lightheaded. They didn't know it was linked to chronic blood loss from fibroids. They were just kind of living with it without knowing why. That's just an incredible blind spot, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And, really raises a big question about how we perceive normal health, even in the medical community sometimes. Dr. Alina Monroe, she was the lead researcher and OBGYN specialist. She put it very clearly. She said, this is not just a menstrual issue. It's a systemic health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, it makes sense. Constant blood loss. Month after month, it just relentlessly depletes the body's iron stores. And that leads straight to anemia, which then impacts everything, physical energy, sure, but also ability to work, focus, even mental well-being. It's so far-reaching.
Okay, so given that connection, maybe it's worth quickly clarifying for everyone listening. What exactly is iron deficiency anemia, and why is it so, debilitating when it's tied to fibroids?
Good question. Yeah, basically, iron deficiency anemia means your body doesn't have enough iron. Simple as that, really. And you need iron to make hemoglobin. That's the protein in your red blood cells that carries oxygen all around your body. So without enough iron, your body literally can't get the oxygen it needs to function properly. You feel it everywhere. Now, for women with fibroids, the issue is that repeated monthly blood loss. It can become so significant, so cumulative over time that the body just can't keep up. It becomes unmanageable without medical help or serious supplementation. It just drains those essential iron stores.
Right. So for you listening, what are those common signs maybe to watch out for? Things that should be on your radar. We're talking about that persistent fatigue, right? Weakness, maybe looking pale, pale skin or lips.
Mm-hmm. Shortness of breath, too.
Mm-hmm.
Headaches, dizziness.
Oh, yeah, dizziness. And even things like brittle nails or, like we mentioned, hair thinning.
Exactly. These aren't just minor annoyances. They're signals. Your body trying to tell you something important is off balance.
Yeah, signals we shouldn't ignore.
Definitely not. And Dr. Monroe really hammered home the severity. She said, we've long underestimated the ripple effects of fibroids. Now we're seeing clearly how anemia can become severe and even dangerous if left untreated. It just highlights the urgency, For proper diagnosis, for proactive management, we need to shift thinking from these being just manageable inconveniences to potentially serious health concerns.
You mentioned urgency, so let's talk about the bigger picture, the public health side of this. Uterine fibroids are incredibly common, affecting something like 80% of Black women and nearly 70% of all women by age 50. Those numbers are huge.
They are staggering, yeah.
So with numbers like that, what are the biggest hurdles in tackling this on a larger scale?
Well, historically, a major challenge has been, quite frankly, unequal access to good, comprehensive care. That, combined with this tendency we talked about for fibroid symptoms to just be dismissed. Oh, that's just part of being a woman, or
Right.
something women just have to put up with.
Right, that normalization trap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this new data, it's really a potential game changer, because now we have indisputable scientific evidence connecting the dots. It serves as a real call to action for the healthcare system.
And it sounds like because of this data, there's a real shift starting to happen. Health officials are now actively pushing providers to screen for anemia routinely, especially in women known to have fibroids. And also, crucially, to educate patients about the warning signs. That knowledge really is power here, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Knowledge empowers patients to ask the right questions, to advocate for themselves. And what's really encouraging is we're already seeing some proactive steps being taken on the ground. For instance, some hospitals are starting to pilot specialized fibroid clinics. And these clinics actually include on-site hemoglobin testing. So right there.
Oh, wow. Immediate testing.
Yeah, and some are even offering immediate iron infusion therapy if needed. The idea is to tackle both the fibroids and the resulting anemia together more efficiently.
That sounds incredibly promising. Really integrated care. And speaking of promising, on the treatment side, there's also good news, right? The FDA recently approved some new non-surgical therapies, specifically for fibroid-related bleeding. That seems like it opens up a lot more options beyond just major surgery.
It really does. These newer options, they include things like oral GnRH antagonists. Those are medications that can significantly cut down on heavy bleeding. And also uterine artery embolization, or UAE. That's a minimally invasive procedure where they block the blood flow to the fibroids, which makes them shrink.
Minimally invasive, that's key.
Right. And the real hope with these is that they offer women effective ways to manage their symptoms, but often while preserving fertility, which, as you can imagine, is a huge consideration for many women.
Absolutely. So, okay, if we kind of pull all of this together, the big message from the experts seems crystal clear. Early detection makes all the difference.
Precisely. The sooner you connect the dots between potential fibroids and these anemia symptoms, the better the outcomes are likely to be.
So for you listening right now, what are some practical, actionable things you can actually do based on all this new understanding?
Okay, yeah, let's break down some clear steps. First, maybe start tracking your menstrual flow. It sounds simple, but notice the frequency, the volume, any significant changes from your normal.
Yeah.
That data is valuable.
Okay, tracking. What else?
Second, don't be afraid to ask for iron tests during your regular checkups, your annual exams. It's a simple blood test, but it can tell you so much about your iron levels.
Just ask for it specifically. Got it.
Third, if you are having symptoms heavy periods, that fatigue we talked about, ask your doctor specifically about fibroid screening. That often involves an ultrasound or maybe just a pelvic exam.
Be proactive in asking.
Yes. And finally, and this is maybe the most important, speak up. If symptoms like that, persistent fatigue or dizziness or any of those things we listed, if they get worse or interfere with your life, tell your doctor. Don't just dismiss it yourself. Your body's communicating something. Listen to it.
Speak up, listen to your body. Excellent advice. So just to kind of bring it all home for everyone, this July 2025 study, it has really unequivocally drawn that clear medical line between uterine fibroids and iron deficiency anemia. It's truly transforming how we understand these conditions, how we approach them, and it's directly encouraging these proactive steps for both getting diagnosed and getting treated.
Exactly. And ultimately, this knowledge, getting it out there, it holds the potential for just huge positive changes in women's lives. We're talking about better energy levels, potentially safer pregnancies down the line, and just a vastly improved quality of life for really millions of women who might have been suffering in silence.
So maybe a final thought for you to consider as we wrap up. How does recognizing these kinds of interconnected health issues empower you? How does it empower you to advocate for your own well-being, or maybe for the well-being of the women in your life? And maybe think about what more we might discover. What happens when we truly start listening to our bodies and find the courage to challenge those old assumptions about what's just normal or, just the way it is.